Making a Pokemon ROM is pretty hard, so why not make it even harder? Bringing together 4 developers and removing the ability to communicate, while also having only 6 hours to work on the ROM before passing it to the next dev. Let's see if the end result will be a diamond in the rough or a complete blunder. With that being said, let's get the show on the road with developer number 1. Taking into mind that in total we have only 24 hours for the project, I decided that it could be fun to try out making a simple boss rush-esque type of ROM hack. So, wasting no time to do exactly that, I started by removing the main intro part of Pokemon Emerald, that is the truck, setting up the clock, meeting the rival, and helping the professor part to be specific. Which, thanks to a tool that's specifically made for this task, I shortened the scene to already jumping out of the truck, then remove the rest and more by changing the spawn point of where the player gets placed after the opening with Professor Birch to be in Little Root right away, taking a bit too long to adjust Birch's speech to tell the character that they have signed up for a boss rush minigame. I play into that theme park aesthetic much more by turning Little Root into an entrance from the park to the attraction, which the player enters upon starting, shortening the rest of the setup by making an NPC provide a starter and bicycle, then sending the player on the way, which took way too long due to bugs as well. I finally get to make the first special challenge, where the theming of the first boss is explosives, creating a dedicated building and creating the puzzle of needing to avoid landmines in the dark while being indoors. I add a special touch with a new custom enemy, or in this case Pokemon, the landmine. So when you step on the wrong tile, you start a battle with the risk of blowing your ankles off. And with the last few minutes remaining, I made a dummy enemy for the introductory NPC to make the tied-in Zigzagoon battle from the original starter selection screen make a bit more sense, while also creating 2 NPCs in the trial that help out with the challenge overall. With the final second counting down, I make the landmine a usable Pokemon to tie in with the next boss battle, then finish right as the timer hits 6 hours. Well, time to hand it off to the next dev and see what they did.
Hello everyone, I'm Luca9, a ROM hacker that started ROM hacking at the end of 2021, and I have a Twitch channel where I sometimes do long ROM making livestream. With that being said, let's start hacking. I started editing and saw the region made a summer shoulder, and decided to go for the boss rush route. I think this idea was amazing, especially the landmine dodging and the boss fight, so I decided to want to do this as well. My plan was to change the Battle of Woods into a new place called Mysterious Woods, which is inspired by the Legend of Zelda Lost Woods, where you can get lost with many pets and surrounding fog. I first used a bit of imagination to make changes to the forest, then also added a Team Electro Grunt with new sprites, who gets followed up with 2 mini boss twins at the end. And of course, I also added a fog to make the area look similar to the Lost Woods. Except in the woods, I made the following road to new trainers, pets, and everything else that you can see on the screen. After removing every rival battle from the game, I made the rock gym to be choice based. Either do one path as 3 weak trainers, or do the other as a steering goal strong trainer. Of course, at the end of 2 paths lies the second leader. The last thing I did was some bug fixes with collision and error in the forest. Then with the remaining time left, I changed the starter Pokemon to my unique option. Overall, I ended up spending quite a bit of time just thinking about what stuff to add or change, but in the end it wasn't that bad, especially with having just 6 hours to work on it. Shout out to my SoundCloud channel Luca9, where I make trap song in Italia. Thank you Retro for having me, but now it's time to pass it off to the next developer.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hello, I'm Chris Piche. I'm a bit of a very normal and cool person who's extra normal, and I like to stream very normal and not weird ROM hacks I make, like one where the goal is to not shit yourself, but that's besides the point. The point is, I started playing this hack, and me big dumb. And me big dumb mean that me big no get idea. So me think big smart. I will add things to this ROM hack that the community wants to see. And what are two things Pokemon fans are upset about? Number one, graphics. Everyone is starved for good graphics. Number two, baby game. Everyone likes to complain that all the new games hold your hand way too much. Now this is Gen 3 we're working with, so this isn't really an issue in this gen. But the number three thing? Now that would be power creep. New Pokemon are too strong. All the old Pokemon are gone. I think we can try to knock out two birds with one stone here. The plan? Easy. And so obvious. Make it possible to trip and fall in game and accidentally smash all of your eggs. The vision couldn't be more clear. Now you might be thinking, hey, Chris, what the fuck are you talking about, you absolute bumbling, drooling caveman? And that's a great question. But think about it. If we trip and fall like Charlie Brown style, that would be considered new graphics. So that checks box one. If we smash all of our eggs in our party, it is then impossible to get egg moves or attempt to force perfect IVs onto your Pokemon with said egg moves. It's the perfect plan. You might also be thinking, but Chris, this is Gen 3, so doesn't that not solve the problem you posed? And to that I say, shut the fuck up, I'm going to break all the eggs. So first thing was first. I needed a trigger, and that hack I made about shitting yourself gave me an idea. I'll trigger this off of Repel, which not only makes it more difficult to find Pokemon. I tried to decompile the entire ROM to assembly and scrub this code so I could remove this side effect for 2 hours, and it did not work. But also makes Repel absolutely a useless piece of garbage purchase at the mart, which is good, I think. I moved that old lady from Lava Ridge to Oldale Town and gave her a Jirachi egg for testing purposes. And every time Repel ran out, the game checked my party for eggs, and if I had one, I tripped and fell and it was deleted. The Jirachi was gone, and it worked. Except the tripping and falling part. I didn't end up getting the time to pop in a brand new animation for the player, but I did, however, make the trainer very handsome. And you know what? Can't be mad at that. If this sounded smart to you, and it should, subscribe to my YouTube channel where I stream this mindless garbage every week. I swear it's worth it. Next!
Hello! My name is Bisa. I've been doing ROM hacking on and off for close to 2 decades. God. But if you've heard of me before, it's probably for the Pokemon Corundum project, where I am recreating my perfect Hoenn region. Now, for this little project, it was actually really hard to get the juices flowing since I've become extremely rusty in binary hacking, and upon looking at the work my peers had already done, I actually found it really hard to find something to add in terms of gameplay. So I decided to focus on what I know better, the artistic side of things, and to make this part of the video a bit of a showcase for the old guard of binary ROM hacking. Modern tools like Hexmaniac Advance are fantastic, but they have a much steeper learning curve than what used to be the case for older tools, in exchange for better ROM stability. The first thing I did was use the executable modifier, or mod.exe, to add some small quality of life patches to the game. This is a tool originally created as a sort of mod manager by the Command & Conquer community, but it has since found use in many other places. This is why I love Windows software. Using this, I added reusable TMs, eggs being excluded from Pokemon Center healing since I did see someone move the old lady from Lava Ridge down to Oldale, indoor running shoes, different default PC box wallpapers, and made it so that text speed is set to fast and sound to stereo by default. Now, memory management is always the primary killer for binary hack projects, and one of the main reasons people will usually suggest you do not use old tools like this. But everything we'll use from here on out no longer just patches things, and has pretty decent free memory detection. Just take note of what these tools do at what hex addresses, and you should be fine. Next up is the Day, Nights, and Seasons tool, created by Dialga Prime, which allows you to extremely easily add a real-time clock system for exactly those into the game. The day and night system doesn't even need any additional setup. It's all done here. For seasons, however, we need to go into a bit more depth, and for this we turn to what used to be the holy grail of binary hacking, Advanced Map. Using a modified version of AMAP that supports day, night, and seasons, we can add additional variants of our tilesets for each of the 4 seasons, and then edit them in a way we see fit to show the seasons off. For this, I mostly left it at tweaking to the palette colors, since that already chewed through most of my time. I chose a warm red-brown palette reminiscent of Fall Arbor Town for fall, minty white colors for winter, and an overall brighter, less saturated palette for spring, while leaving summer unchanged. Now, as you play the game on emulators with real-time clock features, it should show these seasons according to your system time, and even on real hardware, it should start in summer and cycle through them from there. Sadly, I didn't have the time left to edit more tilesets to make sure every bit of nature perfectly changes along with the seasons, but most places throughout the game work perfectly fine with only a few tiles, primarily in cities, always sticking with the summer colors instead. If you enjoyed this more artistic take on ROM hacking and want to see me fire on all cylinders, make sure to check out my channel where I make videos about Pokemon and my own ROM hack every month. Now, let's send this back to Retro.
With every dev now having their parts be done, the final version of the ROM that we developed solely by guessing what the previous developer intended based on what they added has been finished. Whether it's new locations with bizarre challenges, weirdly unique mechanics and quirks, or just simple yet always beloved quality of life features and other simple additions. But in this specific case, I think it was more about the curiosity and chaos behind such an experiment for working on a ROM hack together, rather than actually trying to make something. Though, if you're actually interested in trying it out, there's a patch for it in the description down below. But with that being said, and one last thank you to the devs that agreed to take part in this nonsense, shout out to my patrons, take a peek at my Twitter, and stay tuned for more.